Hey guys, Mike here, and in this video we're comparing the HTC One with the Samsung Galaxy S3. Yes, the S3 is last year's model, but if you're looking to upgrade from it or just want to see which one of the two is better, this clip will tell you all about it, so let's get going. First, the looks. The SGS3 is not a bad looking device, but I for one am not at all a fan of the glossy plastic used for the body, which tends to scratch easily and show smudges. The HTC on the other hand is built from aluminum and some matte plastic, and because of that I'm firmly convinced it's going to be more reliable. It's also sturdier for sure, as it doesn't squeak as the Samsung does when grabbed, and all in all I believe it's the more beautiful of the two. Now both these handsets are large and heavy, with the HTC a bit heavier than the Samsung. So if you want a compact phone, they are not for you, as neither of them can be comfortably used single-handedly by someone with average-sized hands. And that's because you're not going to be able to cover the entire screens with your thumb, and not because of how the two feel in hand, because both the Samsung with its rounded edges and the HTC with its tapered back and chamfered sides are quite comfortable to use. So all in all, when it comes to the overall aesthetics and build quality, the HTC has an edge over Samsung, but the Galaxy tends to compensate when it comes to practicality. First, the back cover is removable, allowing access to a replaceable battery and a micro SD card slot. None of these features are offered by the HTC. And then the power button on the Samsung is placed conveniently on the right edge, while on the HTC is on top. That's more difficult to access unless you're using your other hand. And besides that, the buttons are actually easier to find and press on the SGS3 too. On the front faces, both phones offer a large screen. There's a 4.7-inch one on the HTC and a 4.8-inch one on the Samsung, thus size-wise they are very close, but that's about the only resemblance between the two. First, the HTC boasts 1920 by 1080 pixel resolution for a whopping 469 ppi density, thus text, browsing or pictures are going to be extremely sharp on this display. The Samsung suffices with only a 1280 by 720 pixel resolution for a lower pixel density, but that's still fairly good for most tasks, just not as crisp as this year's standard. And second, you get different panels on the two phones. The HTC boasts a lovely Super LCD3 panel with an RGB matrix, which is excellent in most cases except for one, bright light visibility. On the Samsung there's a Super AMOLED panel with a pentile matrix, and that means that blacks, contrast and colors are going to be very nice on this one, although the latter are oversaturated and not everyone is going to enjoy that. Viewing angles and strong light visibility are however not the strongest points of the screens. On top of the screens you'll find the standard set of sensors, notification LEDs and the front-facing camera on these two, the one on the HTC capable of shooting 1080p videos and even HDRs. Below the screen you'll find on the Samsung a physical home button, flanked by back and menu controls. HTC decided to place their logo in the middle though, and that's not a button or anything like that. As a result, you only get home and back buttons on the one, and you'll need a bit of time to get used to their placement and what they do. Anyway, also on the front face of the one you'll notice two precision drilled aluminum grills. And these are covering the HTC Boom Sound speakers, which, paired with the Beats Audio software, are miles apart from the puny speaker on the back of the Samsung. Hear for yourselves. Flipping the phones upside down, you'll find the main shooters, with flash. One thing to notice is that the camera lens on the Samsung is slightly emphasized, so it will be prone to scratches, while the one on the HTC sits flush with the body. The SGS3 packs a standard shooter, with an 8MP sensor and an f2.6 lens. The stills are quite good in fair light, with plenty of details and decent sharpness, but they tend to get very noisy in low light. On the other hand, HTC went for a different approach with their one. The main shooter here has 4 ultra pixels, which in plain words means that it can only take 4MP pictures, but the pixels on the sensor are larger. This, paired with a brighter f2.0 lens and the optical image stabilization, makes the one way better than the Samsung in anything but fair light. So indoor, night or any other poor light scenes are actually very good on the HTC. But the Fairlight shots, the ones that actually matter the most, are rather washed out and lack details, mainly because of the poorer resolution sensor, and that might be a deal breaker for some of you. Both cameras offer plenty of manual options and shooting modes, the HTC once again coming in front with their HDR videos, more complex photo editor and Zoe. But you'll find out more about Zoe in this other clip where I'll talk about the HTC's main camera. Of course you're going to use these phones for a lot more than just taking pictures. Both the HTC One and the Samsung Galaxy S3 are running Android 4.1 Jelly Bean with different proprietary skins on top. On the HTC there's Sense 5, lighter than before, but still not very intuitive in some cases, plus a bunch of apps like BlinkFit, the native browser with flash support, the car and TV remote app, and so on. On the Samsung there's TouchWiz with its pros and cons, plus the entire line of S apps and a set of Samsung implemented gimmicks, like that one that knows to keep your screen always on when you're watching it, and so on. After using both of them for a while, I can't say that I lean more towards one of the skins or the other, but you might feel otherwise. I do however like that both these handsets are snappy during everyday use and can easily handle all sorts of multimedia activities, browsing, gaming, and so on. But the hardware powering the HTC and the double amount of memory do make a difference when it comes to more intensive tasks, like taking HDR photos, running the latest games, or quickly editing a video. The SGS3 is not a slagger by any means, but there are still enough situations where you'll see that it's running last year's hardware and is not as zippy as a 2013 handset like the One. And then there's the battery life. There's a slightly larger battery on the HTC, a 2300 mAh one, while the Samsung only packs a 2100 mAh battery. But with average use, the Galaxy S3 is going to last longer. Even so, the HTC will go through the day with medium use, with even something to spare in the evening, and that's actually enough for me considering it packs faster hardware and a full HD screen. With very light use, the HTC may be pushed to 2 days of use, while the Samsung can even go to 3. What's more important is that the battery on the Galaxy S3 is replaceable and you can easily swap it for a new one if needed. And because the Samsung is made from plastic, it supports Qi wireless charging with some small modifications, while the HTC does not. At the end of the day, the HTC One is clearly the more interesting handset of the two, as there are few reasons why you could prefer the Samsung over it. Unless price is important for you, in which case the SGS3 has a fair chance, since it is significantly cheaper than the HTC One and will probably get even more affordable when the new Galaxy S4 will hit the stores. Speaking of that, the SGS4 is going to be the true rival for the HTC One, with a full HD screen of its own, faster hardware and all sorts of interesting software implementations and the never-ending Samsung marketing budgets propelling it. But more about that in a clip to come, and at least for now, I do believe that the HTC One reigns supreme between Android handsets. Anyway, that's about it for today's comparison. Based on all the things I've mentioned in this video, I'm really curious to see which of the two would you pick right now and why, so please leave your replies below. And of course, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on this clip, share it so your friends can watch it too, and subscribe to my channel for all the interesting updates to come. Thanks for sticking by, and I'll see you in the next video.